All right, ladies and gentlemen, our first storyteller of the night. Please give a warm round of applause to Mike Murphy.
So, the last year and a half's been a little weird. The thing about the pandemic, right, is that it's affected the whole world, but it also made, your world really small. And for me, a year ago, my world was just my street. And I live on a little side street in West Philly called Buckingham Place. And it's like a one-lane street, and it's only 1 block long. And a year ago, all I did when I left my house was just walked my little dog Bubbles up that street back and forth. And that street was our world, and our world was rocked by a red Honda Accord that this dude parked at the end of our street, but not in a parking spot, in the street, in like a spot that you're not supposed to park in, and it sort of blocked the exit of the street. And this was a problem, see, because where Buckingham is, it empties out onto Walnut, past 40th Street, where all of you drive about 175 miles an hour. So it's dangerous to turn off our street, but with this car there, it's super dangerous to turn off our street. And this car was there day after day. And so I thought, I don't want to call the PPA, the parking authority, they're evil. I'll just leave a note. That will definitely work. So it did not work. And then I left another note, and that didn't work. And then I thought, maybe I'll leave a funny note. That'll be neat. And so I wrote out a note that said, someone hit your car, sorry, on the outside. Then when you opened it, it said, just kidding. Seriously, your parking is terrible. You've got to move your car. This is really dangerous and disrespectful. And that didn't work. And then I left a note that was a little angry. And the day after that, it was like a cold, nasty, rainy day, and I was just walking my little dog Bubbles up and down the street. And I saw that red Honda Accord, and it was in the street, but it was even farther in the street this time. And that note I wrote was ripped up and thrown on the sidewalk. And I was mad. And I said, Bubbles, look, we gotta teach this guy a lesson. We're gonna put some trash on his car. That'll show him. For the first time in the history of Philadelphia, there was no trash around. But Bubbles had just pooped. And I had a bag of dog poop in my jacket pocket, and I thought, nah. Then I thought, yeah, and I put the dog poop on the windshield and went back home. But then, the 3 years I spent in Catholic school at St. Fabian's Elementary in Farmington Hills, Michigan, came back to me. All I could think about was how disappointed in me Jesus was. More than usual. So after an hour, I was like, we gotta go. So I loaded up Bubbles and we went back out to the car to get the poop off the car. And the car's gone. In its space is a cone. On that cone is a note. That note is for me. It's an angry note. A lot of swear words, and the gist of it was, stay away from my car. And as I'm reading the note with my little dog Bubbles, that's when we noticed the guy jogging across Walnut Street. And I had this conscious thought of, how come that guy's jogging across the Walnut Street in street clothes against the light? That's dangerous. He should use a crosswalk. And why is he so mad? Then I thought, oh no. That little voice in your head, right, that comes in when you're doing something dangerous, like driving too fast, that voice popped up and it's like, Mike, look, don't mean to alarm you, but there's a decent chance he's running over here to kick your ass. And he's absolutely running faster than you can run. So this guy runs up and he says, did you do it? Did you put poop on my car? But the way we were positioned, he was kind of yelling at Bubbles, who was loving it, right? Making a new friend, right? And I'm like, this is not a new friend, Bubbles. And so I said, wait, someone put poop on your car? And we had this crazy hypothetical yelling argument about someone where someone was definitely me, right? I was like, well, someone's probably really mad that you're parking your car on the street here. And he's like, well, someone needs to not take the law in their own hands. And I said, well, someone doesn't have to be a poop vigilante if you just park your car in a parking spot. And so that continued for a while. I did not admit anything. And eventually he kind of ran out of steam and left, and I went home and I thought, awesome, we settled this like Philadelphians, right? With yelling. I'm never gonna see that red Honda Accord again. The next day, Bubbles and I are standing at the end of our street looking at the red Honda Accord, which is parked right in the street, and I'm holding another bag of dog poop. And then I call the Philadelphia Parking Authority. The dispatcher says, hello. I said, look, I hate calling you, but can you please just give a ticket to this guy who keeps blocking my street with his car? And the dispatcher was so nice. She said, look, that is exactly what we do. Like, literally, we will do that for you. She's like, how long has he been parking his car there? I was like, a couple months now. And she's like, why didn't you call us sooner? I said, I don't know. I tried to work it out with him. And she's like, you tried to work it out with him? I said, yeah. And she said, how'd that go? I said, bad. She said, well, what'd you do? I said, well, I left a bunch of notes. Then I think he saw me putting doo-doo on his car. And she was like, oh, no, sir, no. Are you okay? And I was like, no. And I wasn't, because my world was so small. It was just my street, and that was so not healthy. And she said, sir, listen, everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay. Look, we're on it. Half an hour later, there was a ticket on that red Honda Accord, and an hour later, it was gone, and I never saw it again. And now when I think back to that crazy time, I think, wow, of all institutions, the Philadelphia Parking Authority gave my street what it needed. It gave that guy a ticket, which he needed, but it gave me the message of, you're being ridiculous, and everything's gonna be okay. Thank you.
Mike Murphy, everybody.